$4.1 million in cash collected, generated in just the past 12 months with this exact content system. Listen, take a second, look through everything that I've prepared, from the content categories to the different cycle of ecosystems to the YouTube and how we push people from the front end to the back end to convert, from the different categories on YouTube, from the different ways of tracking reels, and finally the onboarding form. Guys, in this exact video, I'm going to demonstrate the power that categories have in your ecosystem. I'm going to demonstrate the sales process a prospect goes through and how to eliminate any objections known to man so you can focus on one thing and one thing only, and that's collecting payments from prospects that show up, that are highly qualified, that have high interest, and that want to join and be part of what you offer. The way I view content is there are different stages that will lead to conversion. You cannot have one main stage or one main category that you keep posting nonstop 24/7 and hope that it will lead you to conversion. The different categories goes credibility, educational, leading / authority based reels, and relatability. When you accomplish all four in a very unique way and you frame it in a positive way, that's when you get maximum conversion. What do I mean by this? Guys, take a second to understand, what is your buyer's journey? If you're selling an info product, which I hope you are, if not, click off this video, please. You're scaling an info business right now. You currently run a coaching or agency model and you're looking to land more clients. When was the last time that you actually took a second to put yourself in your prospect's position and ask myself, what is my buying journey? What is your prospect's buying journey? If you do not know what your buying journey is to your prospect, how can you ever expect to make them pay you? If you don't know that at any second on this point in time over here or over here or over here, what kind of questions they might have, what kinds of concerns they might have, what kind of fear they might have. If you do not know at this point in time what's happening, how can you ever expect them to hop on a call and pay you large sums of money? So during this call, I'm going to essentially explain to you how you can get a lead to enter on a Monday, and by all the different categories that you're going to expose them, by the time Saturday or Sunday comes in, they are pretty much ready to pay if and only if the proper converting mechanism is set in place. Guys, understand one thing. You cannot have a successful info business if you do not understand your buyer's journey. You need to put yourself in their shoes so you can understand, what is my prospect faced with, concerns, questions, fears. If you do not do this, how can you ever expect to curate a consistent content ecosystem for them to be exposed to? Because you are not problem solving, establishing credibility, or creating any kind of connection. So there are four main buckets that I like to diversify when it comes to content, and each has its own specific intent behind it. So when it comes to educational, now the main reason we do educational is because we want, on a long enough time frame, for the expertise and the value to be increased as much as possible. From the more reels that you post, the more the expertise and the value is going to increase, because you want to be seen in your marketplace as someone that's valuable, as someone that's an expert in their field. And you cannot do this if you're not posting consistent educational content. Now, granted, there are different variations of educational content. For example, one of them is going to be a value style of education. In my reel over here, where I'm talking about the tracking system, or just copy the exact system that made my client go from 100K to 600K every single month in the sales framework, or the system of content that my client Andrew used to go from 7K to 70K per month. This is a value-driven reel. You're essentially breaking down a framework, so at the end of the reel, at the end of the video, the prospect can go and use it on their side, on their business. That is what a value-driven reel is in the educational section. Long story short, you want to ask yourself, how can you provide as much value as possible in a very clear and concise manner, in just a matter of 60 to 90 seconds? Because the amount of value you produce and you distribute will dictate how you are seen within the marketplace. Another way as well is a problem solution reel. This is so important. Now guys, I do not want you guys to go ahead and pick one focal problem and then go for 20 different solutions. That is not how proper marketing is established. What you need to do is provide one simple problem. Find one problem. So if inconsistent trading is your problem, do not just do inconsistent trading. Pick one problem, which might be, let's say, market analysis, the wrong market analysis. You pick one problem and you showcase 1, 2, or 3 main solutions for that one specific problem. And it has to be a very niche problem that only a few people have, because you have to be able to then convert them towards another part of the call, which I'll be able to explain later down the line. But guys, my point being is, do not make the mistake that I see people doing, which is targeting too broad of a problem. You want to keep it a very niche specific problem so you can provide niche specific solutions. So for this part, for example, I'm talking about if you're getting objections on your sales calls. In this part over here, I'm also talking about getting objections or losing objections on your sales calls, but it's a different kind of solution that I'm providing to it. So while this might be a first solution, providing the content, this is a second one, providing how can you track data to avoid objections. And this over here is a third solution, and the problem is inconsistent cash collected. And one layer deeper than that, you see over here, it might be the cash, right? Which is one layer. The second layer under that is going to be the unknown of posting. Now, I could keep it like that. I'd rather go one layer deeper and talk about tracking behind posting. Cash is the number one problem. Before that, it's the unknown of knowing what to post. Before that is tracking what to post so you could understand what you have to post. And a byproduct of understanding what you have to post and why you're posting it is a byproduct of getting more leads on your page and converting more leads, turning into cash. That is how your brain has to operate. So I'm doing different problem and solution style variations for my educational reels. Now, another example as well that I'm going to talk about, which is extremely important, is the intent behind it, right? Our goal is to make them understand that we are the expert in our industry. You want to be known as the guy in your industry that solved the problem. That is the person you need to go to when you have a problem with your risk management, when you have a problem with your coaching business, when you have a problem with building your Shopify store. You need to have the notoriety in your business, in your industry, that, man, that's the guy I have to go to when I have a problem. For me, for example, I want to have that expertise in the industry that I know if one of my ICP clients that runs an info business says, man, my months are inconsistent with cash collected, Jerry has a solution. He's the expert. He's the man in the industry. That is what this kind of educational content really does. And the fact that you're able to solve their specific problems and provide value up front means they will come to you every single time. Because guys, I'm a very big fan of saying, if you could solve their problems for free and you can make them money, when they're going to have a specific series of problems, XYZ problems, because guys, in business, let's face it, you always have problems no matter what level you're at. When you're going to be making money, let's say 10K a month, let's say I'm able to make you, with the free value I give you, I'm able to get you to 20K per month. At 20K per month, you're going to have a specific series of problems that, guess what? You need someone to solve them. Why would you go elsewhere in the market when you can just come directly to the source that got you to your first 20K per month? That is exactly what value content does, guys. So please pay attention, because this will help you so much. Another category is the credibility. This is one of my all-time favorites. In 2025, guys, credibility is at an all-time low. There's so many people in the market selling the exact same things, the exact same outcome with the exact same business model and vehicle. If you have no differentiation, you will fail every single time. So how do you differentiate yourself? Well, the more you post, the more trust you need to build with your content, and the more FOMO, fear of missing out. This is specifically targets the psychology behind your consumers. And if you're not using psychology in your marketing, that is why you're consistent. That is why your cash isn't consistent. So guys, take a second before I continue the rest of the call. Listen, I provide one-on-one consulting. My company, Growth Capital, has scaled multiple info businesses to multiple 6 figures per month. Book a call down below after the call right now if you want. Let me audit your system for absolutely free. I will go on the call. I will tell you exactly what your problems are and exactly what your solutions are. And let's talk, let's work together. Because I know for a fact, if you've watched this much in the video, I know you're serious. Because the people that aren't that serious will click off in the first minute, 2 minutes of the video. Guys, so let's be real here. It's almost 11 minutes in. I know you're serious about your business. I know you're serious about scaling your info business. Book a call down below. Save yourself the headache and the time. Because imagine if you joined 6 months ago, you'd be making 150K, 200K per month right now. We'd be in Bucharest, Romania, celebrating in our mastermind, or in Dubai somewhere, sipping cocktails, whatever it might be, smoking a cigar, driving fast cars. Do yourself a favor, book a call down below. Let me help you out, and we'll take it from there. Back to what I was saying. So with the credibility, what you want to understand is, how could I post the most intentful content to increase trust and fear of missing out in my prospect as much as possible. Now, there are different variations that I tell my clients to do when it comes to credibility. Number one is going to be the testimonial. Number two is going to be the case study. Guys, you have to make sure when you're doing a testimonial, yes, you have to have a very catchy hook, for example, or a very catchy title, but most importantly, the copy matters the most. You have to make sure that the prospect you're speaking to, your current client, is saying things, describing the current situation that is relevant to the prospect watching. So if I have 5,000 people, out of 5,000, let's just say 500 are ideal ICP. Whatever my client Andrew here says, I want him to label the exact problems, X, Y, and Z, niche specific problems that the 500 people have. He's not going to say, yeah, I had no money and now we're making 65K. No, he's going to say, Jerry, I woke up, I had no idea what content I had to post. I was doing all the setting, I was doing all the closing, and I had no time to actually fulfill on my calls. I had no idea how to structure a back end where if I take 10 hours to do sales during the week, I don't suffer on the back end with my clients and get chargebacks. I need a team to work with me. Those are specific problems. Notice how now he's triggering the prospect. He's triggering the ICP, the 500 out of the 5,000 listening. So imagine how much more you have their attention. Guys, I've always said this. Selling is a 6-figure skill set. Maintaining attention, like one of my buddies, Nick, always says, is a 7-figure skill set. Shout out to Nick, right? I got that from him. Okay? So you have to understand that when you're able to trigger someone and maintain attention, that is when you're going to make so much money. Another example over here, like I said, same thing, testimonial, specific and relevant to your prospect's current situation so you can understand and so they can see that you're the person they have to go to when they want to see the proper results. The other variation will be a case study. The reason why this is so important is because now that they've established that, let's say, you can help them. They've established this. They want to know how you could help them. And this is why case studies are so important, because you want the prospect to visualize themselves going through the exact step-by-step process. Guys, I know what I'm talking about. If I can get these results, I know this is exactly what you have to be doing. So the case study explains how you got the prospect there. So notice how in all of these videos, I have a step-by-step process. Just copy the framework 1, 2, and 3, right? Over 76K in a single month. And here's exactly how I did in these 3 next steps. And in this video as well, I was talking about how I made my clients over $4.1 million in the past 12 months. And I broke down exactly how I was able to do so. When you describe how, your prospects trust you as much as possible, and they can conceptualize themselves going through a very similar framework, which is so important. Another very important category that no one ever talks about is the authoritative category. Your perceived value and the market differentiation is what has to increase every single time you post a reel. So if you are not doing this, this is probably why you are getting low quality buyers who don't want to pay anything more than $1,000 because they don't see your perceived value as much. And the variations go as following. Number one is going to be an intention-driven reel. This one was the one with me in the balcony in Bucharest with the Penthouse audio playing in the background as if I was Iron Man, and the Penthouse audio was saying, "Good evening, I've set the temperature to X, Y, and Z, and the bath is now being drawn." Like this, people see this and say, wow, this guy has money. This guy knows what he's doing. So right away you get authority. This is another one. My girlfriend was the one, shout out to her, that filmed me driving. And it's an authority-driven and attention-specific because I have my clients speaking about my results in the background. So get this, not only am I able to establish authority, but guys, at the same time, I establish credibility because I have clients doing the work for me. They're telling the camera to you guys all the results I've been able to generate while showcasing the authority of me driving in Montreal. Another variation is the industry leader. The reason why this is so important is because you want to be able to be known as a person in your industry that does not do what many people do. Meaning your DM setters in Romania, this blew up 10.2K views. The reason why is because how many people do you know go and meet up your DM setters in an Eastern European country? Normally, maybe it's clients, maybe your actual DM setters. This just goes to show when you care about your team so much, you become an industry leader. And another example over here is me showcasing how just one of my clients got me a wire of almost $50,000 into my account because I'm able to provide exceptional service and exceptional value. This makes me an industry leader because now people know, like, and trust me, but most importantly, they respect me. Respect is earned, never given. So by having these kind of videos, what happens is you increase your premium look on your perceived value, and you're able to differentiate yourself within the industry by indirect superiority. The last category is the relatability. This is the number one way to increase your likability and your personality, and as we stated in the authority, your market differentiation. Now, there are different variations in such. Number one is the storytelling. You want to be able to tell your story as much as possible. Andrew Tate does this extremely well. Stories sell. Over here, I had a reel talking about how I went from a DM setter to a consultant or to a growth operator managing companies, and how I was able to do so off a reel. 6.1K because people heard the ambition I had. People heard the struggles I had to go through. They now know and like me. It's unique to you. No one can copy your story. Same over here where I was on the balcony in Romania talking about how I used to take the city bus and I would see a Lamborghini Huracan, $400,000, $500,000 worth of cars next to me, and I got so pissed off. That is your story. People will remember you and say, wow, Jerry went through that story, and they start to follow you for your journey. If you're able to do this, you have an audience that is so loyal to you, so loyal because they like the story that you have. And if your story can be relatable to your prospect story, that is when you make so much money. Last but not least is the personality. In this specific video, I was talking about how I work so hard for my clients, for my parents, for my family, for my girlfriend, and what kind of life do I want if not an exceptional life? An exceptional life will require exceptional stress being undergone and undertaken on my shoulders. That is exactly what I went through in this reel, and a personality video talking about how I went back to my old room with my old sign of Stecco Enterprise and how far I've gone. This showcases my personality, what I stand for, my values, family, hard work, self-made. These are all values that you can attach to me. So what happens is I'm able to separate myself from my competitors. People will tell me on calls, Jerry, why pick you and not anyone else? You can go and pick someone else. I know who I am. I know my values are true to self. I know I value my clients, my family, my girl, everyone around me, and I'm not in and out after the money. I want the value. I want the results. I want to take care of my family and take care of those around me that trust me. That's why you should pick me. Everyone else has the information. If you want to go with someone that you know trusts you, likes you, talks to you like a brother, you know who to go to. That is exactly what I want my prospects and my future clients to know by looking at all these reels. Now, guys, keep in mind, this is only part of the work. I want to be able to convert these prospects, these potential viewers. If someone comes in on a Monday, on a Sunday, they should be able to be almost ready to convert just by watching these different reels. However, what do you do? From these front-end ecosystems, what you do is you send them over to a YouTube video. In the YouTube ecosystem, you have to have different categories that have different intent behind them. By shifting limiting beliefs, pre-handling objections, establishing credibility, and building a relationship with them. This is exactly what you have to do within your YouTube. If you're able to shift limiting beliefs and pre-handle objections, you're essentially getting rid of all fear they might have. When you establish credibility by case studies, testimonials, people now trust you. And when you're able to build a relationship, people now like you because you're different. So by shifting all of them into the YouTube, you pre-handle the objections. They now know that you could solve the problems they have from educational videos. They know how you help your clients by case studies, and they know what kind of person you are by personal values from your videos. When someone, and it's known that someone has to watch 7 hours of your content to be able to pay. I would argue that these categories shorten the amount of time it takes for someone to buy. Because if someone watches 2 case studies of 30 minutes each, 1 testimonial of 30 minutes, 2 educational problem of 30 minutes, and 1 personal value of 30 minutes, they will buy. They will buy every time. I have yet to meet someone not buy from watching these different categories from YouTube. And the way you could push someone from your Instagram to your YouTube can easily be from stories, can easily be from reels. In this example of value, in your description over here, or while you're speaking in your copy, you could have a description where you're like, comment the word value and I'll send you over the full 30-minute breakdown. So you send over the full 30-minute breakdown, but what do? Is you send them over in a DM. So you DM them and you send them over and you drive them all the way to the YouTube video that you're talking about. And what happens is two things. Not only are they going to get more value from it, but you could then follow up. And when you follow up, you increase the chances of a booked call. This works every single time. You guys have no idea the potential that you guys have if you just knew what you were doing. If you just knew what you were doing. And guys, the best thing about all this is while all of this is taking place, while the ecosystem of content, the Reels and the YouTube, and this content performs, what happens is I track every single metric. All of my Reels are tracked. The drop-off rates, I track the engagement, the followers to non-followers, the likes, the comments, everything. So guys, I'm able to make decisions based off of this, that the algorithm is telling me what is working and what isn't working. Imagine waking up in the morning and you know exactly what content you have to post just based off the numbers that the algorithm is giving you. And not just that, but at the same time, every time a prospect joins, I have them do an onboarding form that tells me what was the first touch point that you've seen of me, what made you make the decision to do this, what made you join and pay me for my one-to-one mentoring. What happens is I also ask another question over here that talks about what could I have done to make you join earlier. And if they tell me a specific reel about, let's say, for example, more trust-driven content, well, what's going to happen is I'm going to know that on the Instagram, all I have to do is double down in the trust. I know that I have to post 2 extra reels per week on the trust and the credibility. This is what data does to you. When you're able to know consistently from your prospects and from the algorithm what works and what isn't, you could just go right back to the Instagram and post exactly what they're telling you. And with the proper converting mechanisms, you could then push them towards YouTube. And at the end of every single video, they have a CTA to book a call. Besides the building a relationship with the personal ones, what you want to do is you want to redirect them to another video that will be educational. So you can increase session time, which will boost your video to the algorithm, which will be another video that I'll talk about. But guys, do you understand the beauty in business? And do you guys see how this content system, this content tracking system, and most importantly, this content strategy will make you so much money if leveraged properly? So listen, do yourself a favor, and if you've made it through this long, 24 minutes into the video, look down below, book in a call. If you qualify, we'll work together. I'll make you at least 100K, if not more per month, if you do as I say, and if we follow the proper steps, because I know you're a smart guy. No one looks on almost 30-minute video and does not know that what I'm saying is at least remotely true. And the results back them up. Do me a favor, before you even book the call, before you even look in the description, go through my story highlights, go through all my client highlights, and imagine you are one of them. Imagine how much money you could be making. Book in a call down below. I'll qualify you. I'll see and audit your systems. I'll tell you exactly where you could be going and what you could pivot yourself to just make an extra 20, 30, 40, 50K per month. Any questions, shoot me over a text on Instagram. I answer right away. My @ is StekoGP. And as always, guys, stay blessed.